It's so nice to have you here, Arah. It's lovely to have reconnected with you because I know you went through the TIR mentorship with me. It was a few years ago, but it's just nice to kind of look back at where you were and where you are now and what's kind of changed. So first of all, thank you so much for your time.
You're more than welcome.
Now, before you started doing the TIR Infinite process, which is what we call it now, what were your thoughts about the whole mentorship and the coaching, and why did you even think that you needed a mentor or a coach at that time?
Okay, I mean, at the time, I had been employed by a firm as a development consultant for many years.
Yeah.
And I had wanted, I can't tell you how long for, to kind of start my own business and to kind of strike out there. But I was actually quite scared. And the reason I didn't do it for many, many years is I was just really scared of doing it. And then a couple of things kind of came together at the same time. I found Bob Proctor, and I initially joined Bob Proctor's coaching program, which I absolutely loved. But I also recognised that I wanted a bit more of kind of one-to-one contact. Somebody who had an awareness of what Bob Proctor was about, and whose coaching style kind of worked within that. But it would be a one-to-one relationship. That was really what I was looking for. And I must admit, I was trying to think this morning how I came about your name. But when I started to make inquiries among kind of the Bob Proctor population, your name came up several times as somebody to talk to. And so I tracked you down. I think I found your website initially, and kind of the rest is history. So it was really, my initial thought was, I need to grow, I need to develop, and I need one-to-one support.
Yeah. Okay. So you and I had a chat, and you started this whole process. It was a 6-month mentorship that I offered you. So when you started this, what were your goals, and what did you want to achieve at the time?
I think I have struggled probably most of my life with a kind of almost imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And the kind of, I know that on one hand I'm quite a skilled person, quite a qualified person, but I've always struggled to realise that, because there's a kind of underlying lack of belief in, well, actually, can I pull something off? Yeah. And so the whole thing really around Bob Proctor and then thinking into results for this program I did with you was really about, look, you reach a point in life where you're either going to do it or you're never going to try stuff. And I wanted a process. I wanted something that would help force me out there and would give me some accountability. And so that was what I was looking for. Was I wanted to start a business. I had some really good ideas about what I was looking for, but I had a fear, if I'm really honest, that I wouldn't be able to do it if I was doing it entirely on my own. And I think that was probably what was in my head at the time.
Well, you've hit something which is quite important, and I don't think having a fear around that is really what I would call fear, because most people think that they can go it alone, and most people think that it's something that they can do on their own. Whatever it is, it's not just necessarily starting a business, is it? But anything that you want to start yourself, yes, initially the steps are that you'd start on your own, but it's naive to think that you can do it on your own.
Yeah, and I think I realised that quite quickly. Yeah. I realised that quite quickly that I would benefit from some support, and that's something you're very good at. And you've got a very good supportive, you've got a good business head, and I needed somebody who had a proper business background, because I was going into business, if I'm really honest, quite naively, and I wanted somebody who was basically able to advise from that aspect as well, but also to help with the more kind of the accountability and the feel the fear and do it anyway, but somebody to actually help me with that, because I do know if I have a weakness, it's follow through. And so I needed someone to help me to follow through.
So why do you think then, Arah, you weren't achieving these goals on your own? I mean, you've touched on the accountability side of it, which is an integral part, but why do you think, is there another reason, do you think, that you weren't able to achieve them on your own?
I don't know really. Again, I've been reflecting on this recently. I think it comes back to this lack of basic belief in myself at some level. At a superficial level, I kind of knew I could, but beneath that, there was an awful lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I think my sense at the time was that I needed some extent of I could lean on a little bit, but also somebody who could help me to address some of those self-doubts and just remind me of my own power. It sounds a really weird way to put it. If people remind me that I do have power, because I knew it, but I didn't know it. And I think that's one of the big things that I got from the coaching program. Actually, is so that's my cuckoo clock. You can probably hear. It's a reminder that actually I have power. And what's weird is that my business was initially to do with coaching. It moved into consultancy quite quickly, to be fair. I found that consultancy ended up being my sweet spot. But I was very good at helping to empower others, but not as good at empowering myself.
Yeah. And I find that a lot of women have that, I wouldn't like to call it a problem, but it is something that needs to be addressed, that we're very good at kind of helping other people, but when it comes to helping ourselves, we either put ourselves back, or there's a disbelief that, well, they can do it, but I can't do it. I can help that person, but I can't help myself.
Absolutely. And even when I could see, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to do a business is I thought, I know people who have got similar skills to me and similar abilities to me that have gone out there and done really well. So there's no logical reason why I'm not able to do that. But, if I say that going self-employed was something that I've been thinking about for probably about 10 years before I actually got up the wherewithal to do it, that, if you like, just gives a sense of just how, at some level, I was disempowering myself.
So you've now, and I'd love to say this, that you've now been empowered and you're empowering others as well.
Absolutely.
Because I know that you have achieved some great things from this. So why don't you share that what have you actually achieved as a result?
Well, I did actually start the business. I did it. I resigned my job. What I actually did, I tried for a year to run the business and while working, and that worked to some extent, but I never thought I was really getting sufficient traction. So in the end, I think with anything like this, you almost have to draw a line. And I did. I resigned, but because I had spent a year kind of building my network and building my contacts, the support that I had from you in terms of, okay, well, how do I address this? How do I deal with overwhelm, which was a big issue for me. The business actually went off like a rocket. Literally, I walked out of my firm on the Friday, and I was there on a Monday, running around the country like a nutter. It almost took off more quickly than I could actually cope with. It's really difficult to explain. I had built the business on quite strong ground, and that was especially important because 6 months after I started the business, we went into COVID, and that did have an initial slowing effect. It was like, oh, but again, I never doubted for a minute that I could survive that situation well. I was one of those people. I run a limited company, so I didn't get any help from the government or any of that support. So I was very much on my own, and I think I came out of that experience with a real understanding that actually, one, I do have power, and by God, do I have resilience. Because there were points, particularly the first couple of months, that were actually quite scary because clients got quite scared and cancelled lots of appointments. It was all a bit, scary, and all of that stuff went on. But you kind of hold your nerve and you get through it. And I remained profitable and actually quite busy throughout the whole of that COVID period. And so for me, that's a massive achievement because probably if that had happened a year before, I'm not sure I'd have had the same experience. I'm not sure I'd have been as ready for that. It was. Do you know what? In many ways, COVID was a really challenging time, and I did learn things from that experience, which I'll probably carry forward forever.
Yeah, it was a big learning curve, I think.
Massive.
Massive. There's a lot of good that came out of COVID. Yes, there is the downside of it as well. There was a lot of good that came out, and people got more time to really think about themselves and their lives and where they're going. And, you know, a lot of people set up their own businesses during COVID, and it's fantastic.
What I was able to do with in the COVID period is a lot of marketing, because I wrote blogs nearly every day, stuff that I would probably in normal circumstances wouldn't have been able to do. And in fact, that helped the business. So I actually did, you know, I got through COVID actually fairly comfortably in a way that was, wow, I'm still really grateful for.
Yeah, no, well done. Congratulations again. So that was one of the things that you achieved through this whole process. You started your business. It's something that you always wanted to do, go out on your own. You launched your business. You were very successful with it, even during the COVID period.
Yes.
How would you explain what happened to you as a person, as a woman? Like, what kind of inner changes do you think has happened whilst you're going through the whole process? And what growth have you seen within yourself then?
I think I would probably categorise this in two ways, really. And I know we've had a recent conversation about this. You could regard this negatively, but actually I don't. My relationship ended last year. Mm-hmm. And I think, and I'm actually quite embarrassed to admit this, there's a part of me that's always kind of felt I had to have a man in my life to be okay.
Right.
And actually, that whole thought has completely flipped on its head, you know. And I don't mean this in a negative way or but I actually don't need anybody. You know, there are people I love to have in my life. The people I really enjoy having in my life, but I am completely rid of this whole idea that I need to depend on anybody. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how freeing that is.
Yeah.
You know, just to know that, you know, you
don't need to tell me that, lady. I know that. I've actually been through that whole process myself.
Yes. Yeah. But I played that game for about 30 years of there's got to be a man in my life for me to be okay.
Yeah. And
it's so not true. No, and it's not for me. I've probably never been personally happier than I am as a single person. And that may or may not continue, I don't know. But at the moment, if it didn't change, it wouldn't be a problem to me.
Yeah. And I just want to say we don't want to kind of put any man down here.
No, please, it's not that.
Yeah.
No. And my ex-partner and I are now the very best of friends, by the way. You know, we remain very, very good, perhaps better friends than we were in a relationship. And, you know, I'm not saying I would discard a relationship or wouldn't want one in the future, but there's something fantastic about knowing that it's not an essential, that I'm enough. That's the thing, I'm enough. I think that's what I've got in the last couple of years in all sorts of ways.
I love what you've just said there about just being on your own and standing on your own ground and, you know, not needing anybody. And I think, you know, and this is what we go through and teach you through the TIR Infinite Mentorship, is that once you become needy, there's a difference between need and want. And if you're needing, then you're lacking. But if you're wanting it, then of course you're abundant, right? And that's the difference. And like I was saying earlier, you know, no disrespect to any man. We love you. We want you in our lives. But this is what I'm all about, is that to help women and to help young girls realize that, you know, they don't need to be a kept woman. Okay. You can have your own wealth, you can create your own wealth, and it's really about standing on your own 2 feet. That's what this whole process is teaching you, to create your own wealth.
Look, the very, very best relationships are interdependent rather than dependent.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I think that's the thing, yeah.
What else have you achieved through this whole process and this mentorship that you went through?
Yeah, I bought my own house because I was renting for a very, very long time, and I decided to bite the bullet and have my own little nest. And this is my little nest, my little house, you know, bought brand new. I was the first person ever to live in it, you know, my own little garden, and you know, and so it's a lovely space to have, and I'm at that stage. I'm still enjoying kind of decorating and all that sort of thing. So, yeah. I mean, the other thing that I've really been able to focus on, I think I've released time. You know, I've released time in my life to do things that I really like to do. So I'm at a point in my life where I can really focus on things that I enjoy. I do have a spiritual aspect to my life, but I also have still a strong family aspect to my life and a strong social aspect to my life. And this did take me a long time. I have achieved a level of balance, that whole work-life balance thing. I only work 4 days a week now. I don't work a full week. Wonderful, So I've got achieved balance, which I think was really important to me.
Anybody that's watching this right now, any woman that's kind of thinking, well, I've got kids and I've got a husband and I've got family and I've got work, and would you recommend them doing this mentorship and taking it on if they're thinking of, well, I'm ambitious, I want to do something for myself, I do want to stand up on my own feet, but I've got all these commitments and I don't really know how it's going to happen for me. What would you say to those women?
I would say that a challenge that we have as women, generally speaking, is making time for ourselves. And I think this is probably one of the best time investments that you can make and have in yourself. You gave me really good advice and support when I was a coachee of yours, some of which I use with my clients. So only the other day when I had a client who was struggling with prioritising, and what your thing about doubling the amount of time that you give yourself to complete something and leaving space and time, that's something I really took on board in my own life, and it's helped me to create this space. And it's something I actually spoke to a client about only a few days ago. So I just think it's a really valuable investment in your time. Think you just for a little while. That's what I would say to any woman, really. Yeah.
And what was it like having the accountability and helping you through this whole mentorship and the guidance that you were given? What was that like?
That for me was probably one of the best things. I can remember on a couple of occasions, because and I mean this in the right way, one of the benefits of work with you, Aalpa, is sometimes you provide some quite good tough love. You're not like, get it done! And so there were times when I did things thinking, I do not want to go and have my coaching session and say to Aalpa, I haven't done it. But I needed that because, as I say, as I do know, as an individual, that follow through is something that I'm always having. I'm a fantastic starter of things. I'm much less good at finishing things. And I think you were very good at saying, okay, well, we talked about you doing A, B, and C. Talk me through what happened there. And if it hadn't happened, I would have to give an explanation.
Well, you know what? That's my job. That's what I thrive on, because I don't want somebody investing their time and money in this if you're not going to do the work. So my job is to be that accountability partner for you.
Absolutely.
Doing it, because at the end
very well. You've got the right level of kind of support. As I say, tough love.
Yeah. But one thing I will say around you, Arah, is that you are very coachable. I mean, being a business coach yourself, right? Taking on my mentorship, being coachable, and following instructions and directions, that just proves what a good leader you are.
Oh, thank you. I like to think. I mean, certainly, I have come to become a really good consultant. It's a role that I do really well, and it's. I am a business consultant. That's what I call myself. But you'll know that in these roles that. Part of what helps people to run a good business is helping people to run a good life. And that's something that I think I've got some capacity and some talent in helping people to do. And so a lot of that kind of self-doubt and kind of imposter syndrome that I had at the beginning, I'm always learning. I don't think you ever get perfect at anything.
No,
but it is an area that I now recognise I have a talent for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of you. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, catching up, but also coaching you throughout the last 6 months of when you actually initially took this mentorship on. I think it was in 2019 that you took the mentorship on, and then your journey.
I really missed you for a while. When that period came, there was a period that was a bit like losing your mum. I did sort of really miss you for quite a while, actually.
Well, I'm always here for you.
And the go-to feet at some point.
Yeah. No, I'm always here for you.
I know.
Final question that I've got for you, Arah, is would you recommend this mentorship? Would you recommend the program to your friends, to your network, and again to these women that are watching today? Is it something that you would highly recommend?
Without a doubt. You know, if you are somebody who feels that you've got more in you and that you need support to get that out in some way, I would absolutely recommend this mentorship and this process. I think it can only add value and be good for you as an individual.
As I keep saying to everybody else that has gone through this mentorship, this is just the beginning, right? This is just the beginning for you. You've got such a good journey ahead for you. So thank you so much, Arah, for your time. Truly appreciate you.